thank you everyone for joining me today. It is a happy Tuesday, June 1st. Got the wrong date up here. Let me fix that right quick. Hope everyone is doing well. And that you are having a good Tuesday so far. And luckily it's not raining this morning where I'm at. Hopefully it's not raining where you are and you had a safe commute if you had to go in today, or your day is going well. And then if you're on spring break, thank you for joining me. I'm at spring break. See, that's what my mind is. On summer break, but are getting close to it. School may be out for some of you, you're still there. I want to start with our special populations mission statement, and we are here to equip school systems to increase awareness, promote equitable access, and improve outcomes for all special populations. And the special populations unit of TEA does house English learner support, highly mobile and at risk, and then myself, gifted and talented education. So we are all working together to be cohesive and with our overarching group of special populations also in special education to take care of to build a better world for our students and to hopefully get them into better programs and improve the programs that are out there. So today on our agenda, just talk about a little GT information, talk about your closeout, things that you might want to consider as you wrap it up, think about next year, and then ask for some, if you've got some district shout-outs or happenings, I got a few things to share, and then some others will be sharing also. And then, always open for questions and answers, and I see you in the chat, always loving it. And just always wanted to keep you updated and kind of keep you aware of what our numbers are looking like. And we're still on not a large number trend of increasement of cases, and so which is a great thing. And so hopefully as we go into the summer, it kind of stays down. It still continues to trickle down with more students being able to be vaccinated, and more educators probably are taking that opportunity also. And then hopefully everyone stays well over the vacation, and then looking forward to this new school year with the new opportunities. So as we're in a wellness check, hope everyone's doing well out there. If you're on spring break, just do a shout out. I'm at spring break. See, my mind is going back. I'm not going backwards, y'all. I'm not going backwards. I do apologize. If you're on summer break, it just says I don't have one. So we go there. If you're on summer break, just do me a shout, or, raise hand, shout out. If you're not there yet or you're preparing, please let me know. If you're going for extended summer with school, doing with our learning loss and everything, let us know that. One more week. Okay, no spring break here. I feel you. Yeah, the state employees, that's one thing that we learned. There's no summer break. 3 more weeks. Okay. So it's like, no, don't have one. No breaks here. So, okay. Yay. For those who do get to have a summer break, I hope that you have a great one. For those who are working with me this summer, feel free to reach out. I will probably take a couple days here and there, but not a lot. So I will be there available for you throughout the summer as we move forward. Right. So just want to remind you, our TA Corona COVID-19 guidance is still available out there. There are a few updates, not a lot. It's probably going to change a little bit as we go into the next school year and as we prepare for summer. So as you know, thinking of those different opportunities, if you're looking for information, please do reach out to that page. And then spring 2021 is almost a wrap. We are having our morning edition today. I am moving the afternoon edition, which was to June 22nd, to allow that most of you will be attending Gifted Ed Plus and Leadership and the Equity Conference. And so wanted to not kind of combat with that. So we will be moving our our GT Tuesday to June 22nd. That will be our last one. And hopefully a lot of you will take an opportunity just to share out about what you're doing in your programs and your program services. And then I will address a couple of other things that should be finalized by that point in time, and that we can go into some of our summer planning and more conversations there. Also, this guidance is still up and available. Probably will change over the summer for next school year to think about different things and prepare for that. But it is still good guidance and still some pieces that might be pertinent to what you're doing at this point. And I want to just remind you that this info is there. And then also sent out a newsletter last week on Friday, hopefully that you received it. Can't remember now, days move fast. So if you want to get your announcements and make sure that you're out there looking at that, here is the link. I think a lot of TEA dropped announcements last week. I know Advanced Academics dropped one also. So also, please do subscribe to our listservs and to our announcements so that you can see the different opportunities. And I know they give out a lot of information on College Board and some of their updates and some of their guidance. So just wanted to remind you of our state definition and what we're looking for in our children and youth, and in how our students we're looking at how they perform at or show the potential and how they work together and experiences, and then looking at how they exhibit their high performance capability, how they possess that leadership capacity, and then those specific academic fields. And I know for each district, it's a little bit different. Everyone does how they do their program services a little bit different. So, that's kind of the thing you might want to really fine tune as we go into another year, as we go into another processing of how do we make sure we're serving the students. And then really, as we go back, a lot of you will be going back to a regular traditional program services. Some of you never left out of it, but now you got these hybrids. Now you got the virtual learning. Now you have, back to face-to-face, but you have a lot of students who really kind of checked out of GT during this COVID-19 season. So really thinking about, as we go back into it and how we're putting in especially our high schoolers, where we're really looking at our specific academic fields, it might be a prime opportunity for you to say, this is how we serve at this point and juncture as we go into it, really looking at how does that go, how does that work, and then looking into that. I have to check on that one, Monica Simons. Her question was, is the legislation, so thank you, someone did read it. They did pass the virtual bill. I am not sure if the bill has been signed as of yet. Anything that will impact our world that's signed by the governor will be a part of what I will probably talk about on the June 22nd date. And then, our state goal, as we go into what is being demonstrated by self-directed learning, thinking, research, communication, evidence by those innovative products and performances, and really defining what are innovative performances for your district. What are you looking for? What are we going through as we go into that? So as we move forward, as we look at the different pieces. So let me look. Okay, so Kathleen Plott question, HB 1302, has that passed the Senate Ed Committee? No, that did not move out of committee. It just stayed out of the Senate floor. It just stayed there. So no, that did not move forward. So just a couple of announcements. So as we go into this, and until it becomes law, I really cannot address certain bills, but I got a partner that will be able to speak on some of these bills. And I know Paulina is on. Pauline, if you will come unmute yourself, and
Good morning.
you can address those issues that we've been watching as gifted ed population.
Awesome. Y'all, my internet connection is pretty slow, so tell me in the chat if you have trouble hearing me. But as you remember, in 2019, at the very last minute, we lost our GT allotment, and things moved very quickly in the final days of the legislature. Well, this session, things move very quickly, but in the opposite direction. So House Bill 1525 was amended last week to include a new GT allotment. And it was, went to conference to, the GT allotment was added in the Senate, went to conference for the House and the Senate to come to a consensus on the bill. They did, and it passed out of both chambers Sunday night, late. It's headed to the governor's office. So he has 20 days to sign it or just let it become law, or veto, although this is a fixer bill for House Bill 3 from last year. So I can't speak to whether it will or won't be vetoed, but my guess is not. It does include a new GT allotment. I'm going to say new because I don't want us to think about like, oh, it's not the same as last time. There's some substantial differences. One is that the weight is 0.07 instead of 0.12. However, there is some language around how the funds can be used. So if you look at that link that I just sent you, go under text, and this is actually a really good place for you to bookmark. It's a little bit late now, but this is the bill lookup. So you can put any bill like 1302 in here and see where it is. But if you look at the text tab and look at the enrolled bill, the PDF, it's on page 42. I think it's 44 of the PDF. It's labeled as 42 on the document. You can read about the allotment, but like I said, it's 0.07. Funds under this section, other than the amount that represents the program's share of general administrative costs, must be used in providing programs for gifted and talented students. So we will absolutely be working with TEA on exactly what that means, but we think it'll be a little bit more money that goes towards programming than the 45-55 rule in the old state plan around the old allotment. There is still a maximum of 5% of the students, but again, remember that House Bill 3 included language that doesn't cap how many folks or how many kids can be identified in your district, and that stays true. That bill will stay, House Bill 3 stays the way it is, except for the pieces that were edited in this bill. So it's really positive news. It's a great surprise. We didn't think this would happen. It was included in the Senate bill of the Senate Bill 1, the Texas state budget. Late last week, we got a hold of that and we thought, what's happening? So that's the update. So really good news. We'll keep you posted, of course, in our YGT Thursday emails and in Pulse if any actions needed. But at this point, we just kind of wait for it to be signed, and then we work very hard with Monica and the CAC and TA to get that get the rules and all of that worked out so that you guys can start the school year with some additional funding. We do the Senate Texas budget is like a 2,000-page document. It's a crazy long, but we do think this is new money. We don't think it's come out of the allotment, and told that by a couple of House staffers that this is actually new money. So again, like it wasn't pulled back out of the basic allotment. So that should make it a little bit easier for you guys to get your hands on it. Will that change from 0.12 to 0.7? So it will change from none in this current school year to 0.07 times 5% of your ADA, assuming it becomes law. Vince, did that answer your question? It should become law September 1st. It's typically when these are enacted. So that should be funding for the 21-22 school year.
Well, let me correct. Looking at the fiscal note for that 1525, actually the fiscal note is 22-23. So we'll start then.
Okay.
So we will still work under the estimated funds for this school year, unless something changes But the fiscal note that it's accompanies 1525 is actually for 22, 23 for those revenue years, starting then.
Perfect. Yeah, we're still learning a lot. It was added at the last minute, and then went to conference. So we'll continue to keep you all posted, and whatever questions you have, send them our way so we can make sure that we address them over the summer.
Thank you, Paulina. Paulina, any other updates while you got the floor for a moment, or any other announcements?
Yeah, just as a reminder, June 15th, we have our equity portion of the Leadership Plus conference. So again, if you're already registered for Leadership Plus, you're good. But we do have additional registration for your educator teams and your administrative teams to attend that day. I'll put the link in the chat. Registration, like I said, is still open. And it's going to be a really fantastic day. We've got all of our breakouts set up and everything. So we will be here if you have any questions about that. And I think that's it, unless anybody else has questions after a 4-day weekend. I'm a little fuzzy this morning.
All right, thank you. All right, so just a couple of other things if we move into it. So one is the PIMS updates. This month is the opportunity for you to, before they do their final reporting, is to clean up any of your PIMS reporting process numbers. So if you need to look at, if you missed a student who was identified and served that was not coded correctly, or they were furloughed and came back off, take that opportunity to update your numbers. Make sure that everything is there. If you got turnover of your staff coming in, make sure that the new people know what their district codes are, especially if it's a new campus registrar or a district registrar, so that you can make sure that everything is there. Then as you also think about, and then your PIC 21, knowing that your program intent code 21, knowing that your accounting people need to make sure that that is submitted and updated, and make sure that it's there and accounted for. And then also remember, you also need to make sure that your teachers that are providing teaching services are coded correctly also. So those are some couple of things that you need to consider as we move into the next year. June is your last real opportunity to clean up some of that data pieces and those data points in the systems to make sure that they truly reflect what's happening in your district. Then thinking, going back to program intent code 21, remember that is how we're tracking your use of funds and the funds that you received. That process has not changed since its inception. So just remind your accounting people that they need to do program intent code 21 and use of funds. We are, as you know, we looked at all three pieces as we go into looking at, do we need to recapture any funds? The expenditure program 21 intent code is the final piece that has that went out, and we will be reviewing that document as once it is available. And so just know that you really need to look at that. And so part of this will go back to a different framework, and then depending on how the legislation works out and the direction and the guidance, as we go forth, you will we will have more guidance going forth on how this will be used and the pieces that will be a part of it. So just remind your staff to make sure that they have expended some funds. I hate to come back and have to recapture funds from anyone. And then the next piece, I wanted to remind everyone of the record retention policy. One, this is really working on student records. So you really need to think also of your teacher records, but let's start with students. So at the cessation of services, if a kid exits, you have 5 years to maintain their records. If a student graduates, you have 5 years. Now, if the student does not receive services, you can really work, that's a local district kind of thing, but records, so is you see your students referred to or receiving services. So if they're referred, keep them on file for 5, then get, and then work on reducing your paperwork and your documentation. Now, this does not say it all has to be on paper. It can be electronic. You just need to make sure that you have a system out there in that process. Also, thinking about how does that transfer, how does that move? And then think about your teacher record retention. I know it's that season where you got teachers moving around, thinking about their certificates. So, but as I say, we are not the holder of it. They are the holder of it. But you are you keep it for your documentation for compliance purposes. But as we know, as they move forward. So let's take a moment. Are there any questions? I think I've answered all so far. But if there are any other questions at this time, feel free to put it in the chat. Any questions, wonderings, or come off mute. And I'll come back also to questions. And then my next one is on staff placement. So really thinking about who's your returning educators, who's being transferred, moved around, who's retiring or changing roles. So really just kind of being aware of the movement, the placement, who needs to have training, who does not need training, what training opportunities you're going to provide, making sure people know where they're going, and really thinking about, because I know sometimes it's last minute at the beginning of the year, but sometimes who's retired, who needs to be replaced, who's going to be those service providers in those classrooms, who needs to be doing pull out, who does not, what does that look like? And then really kind of thinking about your game plan and as we go forward. I will make sure that our ESC contacts and websites, this is out there on the website already, but I will make sure that you will get the updated because some of them are transitioning also and changing. And as you know, taking other opportunities or also retiring. So, but I just wanted you to reach out, know that they are there. They have a lot of summer opportunities for you and other programs and services. And then some will do a lot of direct services to your students. Thank you, Vince. Yes, we'll update that. So just make sure, and Vince is from Region 14, so he's your contact there. We'll make sure that everyone is updated because I know there's several that probably needs to be changed and updated on here as we go forward. So as we talk about, and I saw a question before I get okay. That was a good question, Monica. Monica Simon's question in the chat is that the virtual legislation kind of died in the House, in the Senate, one of the two, and it did not come up on a vote for Sunday night. So what districts have already moved forward? What will they do? Any ideas? Let me reach out to my virtual learning partner, Kate Lockery, and find out what are their options, and then looking at that. And then I'll get some more information and we'll follow up with that question as we get into that. All of, and then looking at the last questions for my new Rosalinda, who's new to morning to GT Tuesday. All of my GT Tuesdays are recorded. They are housed one on two places on the TEA playlist for Gifted and Talented, and then under my website under Gifted and Talented and Monica Simon. Someone put it in the chat for you. Yes. Thank you, Meredith, for putting in the chat where you can find all the recordings, the PowerPoints, and even the chats as we can go for it. Yes. I will, from my just brief general review of the legislation, it was really for districts not to have to pay for that virtual process and actually making a part of the free and funded education system. So it may be they still can do it, and it just have to look at their payment options on how they do that. So, uh, but I will get more information on that. That is on my list, and I will make sure that we have complete knowledge on what's going on with that and what are our options. I will also come back with options. So when you think about, as we work looking into this and moving into the next year, really thinking about as we go into how we do this, how do we move forward into these next systems? And I know a lot of you are at this point where you know that we're moving, your school board's changing, you're making different decisions on how we do that. We also need to start thinking also as we look at that, what are we doing to make sure that we got these work stream supports for our teachers and students, especially over the summer and as they get back, because a lot of our students probably, some of them, this was a struggle. You know, they are social butterflies. And then some are those introverts who love this world and this realm. So really thinking about how does that work next year? How do you work these processes out? And then really thinking about, because everyone's going into the learning loss and trying to do that kind of acceleration for our students, and just all students, and thinking we really got to make sure that they drive the issue for our students that are ready to move forward. What are we doing, how we're doing that, and then what are their options in the next upcoming school year? And then what are some, you know, as we get back into this and get back into the world, and how do we readapt to being together? And that's going to be a thing to think about. How do we readapt to being together? And then there's going to be some anxiety there of being back in full classrooms, some of those students, and then really looking at that. And then how do we navigate if we're going on to this hybrid where there's still going to be some parents who say, no, my kid cannot come back to school. So really thinking about that. And then really looking at how do we monitor student growth and academic success? What are your placement pieces? What are your things in place? Is it the report card? Are you doing in a separate little data sheet? What are you doing to show that GT students are growing academically and having that academic success? Especially as we are expanding our programs and our options, really looking at how do we do that, and then how do we make sure? And then really making sure that our parents are up to date on the information and the various resources. And it might be just you sending a few more notes home, or just keeping your website up to date on information pieces of what's going on in your program, in your services, and really thinking about how do you communicate that? How do you put those notes out? Are you doing, you know, and it might be just a little bit more social media of we're putting out a little more on this is what's happening in here. So really thinking about what your processes is, and then on your identification and thinking about that as we're going into it. I know a lot of you are at this point in June where you have either you've let your notifications gone out for those who will be starting services in the beginning of the year. And you got those parents who are really looking at those appeal processes, being very clear on the timeline, when and how that's going to happen. And then also those parents who are moving from out of state and moving in, and how to look forward. So there is a real opportunity to really highlight what your program is about, making it evident, and then for your parents to understand there are options and no choices, and then to know what is happening in your school district. Because a lot of people moving in state from out of state really do not understand how Texas does GT. That all of you have a GT program, all of you sounding really well programs, and really thinking about how that is done. And so really thinking, how do you advertise what's going on in your building? So I'm gonna give an opportunity. Anyone want to share anything about their programs, their services, as I check the chat for any questions before we proceed. Raise your hand, you can come off mute. So are there any resources starting GT advisory group school and district and school level programs? I wanted to say. I want to
Monica? Oh,
yes.
sorry. I put in the chat a book. It's not GT specific, but it hits on a lot of the topics that you talked about, like starting school over. There's social and emotional pieces. There's teacher efficacy, student efficacy. All those things are included in the book. And it's a John Hattie book. It's also by the same guy that did the distance learning playbook. So it's a pretty good, we're doing it as a book study in our CNI group, and it's helping us to rethink what to expect out of everyone.
Thank you. All right. And then does anyone have any guidance on how you started up your parent advisory group or parent pack GT group? Because if not, we can, or if someone would like to talk about it next time, we can do that. If you want to shoot me an email, we will gladly do that.
The advisory group needs to include parents, community members, school staff, and gifted and talented education staff. So I would like some guidance on that if anybody has resources or experience.
All right, so
I'll
there's
chime in again. Our group is not school run, it's community run. Basically, a couple of really good parents got together and said, how can we help you leverage more? So we turned that into that's what started our parent group. Find a couple of good parents and then approach parents at, talk to your GT specialists at every campus or your GT teachers at every campus and find good supportive parents and have them come together. And then they wrote a charter. If you want more information, I'll put my name and information in the chat. I can connect you with our GT PAC president who can help you formulate that.
Thank you. And, looking at the chat, there's some great information there also. And then I think you have to also remember there's two, as Teresa mentioned with her group. And then Lisa, the one you're mentioning, there's a little bit of difference between the two. There's they're associated with your district, but they are not district. It's not a district ran advisory group. I will put it that way. They are there to help and assist. And then if you have the other, which you have the parents and your district community members and campus people involved, that's more of a district-led group. And I would say they need to have two different focuses of really thinking about what are you controlling and what is not being controlled by you. They may ask for your support if they're an outside entity. And if they're a part of yours, you should really kind of guide the direction that they're going. That group may be more of your advisory committee, where they're really talking, there are specific topics they have to work on that you need. It's either evaluation, and they're only there, I would probably say, looking at how much involvement, how long is their effort, and then really being precise in what they're doing and how they're doing it. Where your community one will kind of grow and evolve depending on that parent focus, but is led by them, is run by them, and they're helping you support your program, but not actually a part of the some of the other aspects of it. I hope that's clear. But we can do, there's a lot of people who put information in the chat to support you. And then we'll get some more info for the next meeting. All right, I just wanted to remind everyone of our resources. Does someone say something? I can't hear. Of our resources and some of the options that we have out there available, and want to go into the GT Equity and Different Talented Education. Wanted to highlight that this is going to be updated and revised. So some of you may get an invite to do a review of the document, the new website beforehand. Hopefully that you like it. It will still be on looking at our low socioeconomic information, our English learners, and our twice exceptional students, but it will be kind of revamped and revised to be a more inclusive document that hopefully you will like. Is looking good so far. Our GT program implementation resource, this is a document that for you to use if you're looking for sample forms, any other materials, scenarios of things that may happen based from a school board member or a parent, teacher, counselor. All those things are there available on this resource. The final one is our Texas Performance Standards Project. So as you know, this is all of our tasks, English and Spanish, examples of student works, guides for success, for your administrators or walkthroughs to help them understand what they should be seeing in those classrooms, and then the continuum of framework, and then other promotional materials. One thing, the toolkits, if you have not visited Gifted and Talented Teacher Toolkit 1, that is an excellent resource for those who are looking for resources on how to do research, how to do primary documentation of primary and secondary sources. And then the other is our Gifted and Talented Toolkit 2, which is more to assist our secondary teachers, specifically those with AP programs, on how to add that depth and complexity, that rigor into their programs, into their next level. The standards are updated according to the date of implementation of when the TEKS become effective. So some of them have been updated, some of them have not. So it just depends on when they are updated. If you would email me, Tori, which ones you're specifically asking about, I will check on that though. All right. I hope that you had an opportunity to check out some of the, if you saw the newsletter or you're looking at it, check out some of the virtual programs that some of the students, some of the districts had up and available. I received an invite last, was it last week? It was last week, to check out some of the different, check out one school district's showcase. Actually, some students presented to me, had a great time. I want to say thanks to those students, and they had sharing what they know about their topics, and as we go forward. So that is my share out. All right, thank you, Tori. All right, so a couple announcements, and I'm not sure if Dr. Miller is on the call today. She's going to try, but I don't see. All right, so professional development, they have an opportunity. I know someone asked a couple of weeks ago about learning systems and different processes. So Renzulli Learning System, and they have an opportunity to learn more on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Their Summer Institute, I know some school districts do use Renzulli Learning as a part of their processing and as their platform for their GT students. So if you'd like to reach out, I put her email on the screen. And then the registration link also, if you give me 1 minute. I will drop it in the chat for that registration. And then the next is, and someone brought it to my attention. I did not catch that they sent it out twice that way. But the National Center for on Gifted and Talented Education has a survey, and I have put the teacher survey here. And I'll give you the link for that one also. This is Dr. Miller's link for the Renzulli Learning. And then we have the National Center for, so they're looking at acceleration, and then your perceptions on acceleration. It's a 10-minute survey. They had a parent and a teacher survey. So if you would take a moment and would like to participate in that, please do. And here is the link for the teacher survey. All right, and as you know, the virtual Title III is here. They are preparing for their conference this summer. It is July 22nd through the 23rd. They are still looking for, they're called for proposals. Even though it says today it's still open, so you still got some time. If you want to talk about what your program is doing for bilingual education or ESL, really thinking about how some of those options, they are looking for speakers still. So please think about that. Their topic this year is driving English learner achievement using a roadmap as your guide. And so really thinking about, they have some focus topics, so take an opportunity to check that out. And their website also is the texel.org, and let me drop that. So check out that. Also a reminder that we have the opportunity for Texas Math Solutions. So if you're still looking into Carnegie Learning and the THL Math or any of the other science products, the English language arts, really reach out to our partners at THL and to check those out. But if you're looking at the Math Solutions or having questions, discover.carnegie.com, THL3 is the place for that. So this time, are there any questions, any wonderings? If not, and I'm gonna give you a minute. Here's my contact information. If you have questions, want to email me, follow up on something, feel free to do that. If there is anything else out there, any wonderings? If not, I'm gonna give you a few more minutes back to your day. And all right, so are there any new requirements for GT district handbooks and manuals? Currently, there are no new requirements for your district handbooks or manuals. Pretty much still aligned with the state plan, and going from there, you're good to go. So no, there are no new requirements. Just kind of in that line as you think about it, depending on what pieces are coming out and when they are aligned. Some things are effective September 1. Some things are a little bit after that with legislation and as they become pieces of law and when they go into, they are enacted. So currently, other than the GT Allotment, there is nothing that, there are a few things with PD, but not necessarily our PD that were affected with the legislation, but I will do an update for you at our next meeting on certain pieces that have become part of law, because there were changes to certain pieces of the high school graduation processing. You know, they always want to touch high school graduation, I noticed. And then some other things with CTE, and then our allotment is there, but pretty much, and then some of the other pieces. So there's really, we'll take a good clean look as we go into it. That is our next steps as an agency. Once things are signed, is to take, you know, a final look and then see how what is our next steps. And so there will be some rulemaking, and there will be some commissioner and state board of education rules to be made accordingly to different pieces of legislation as we move forward. So there are no other questions. I hope that everyone have a great day. I will see you on June 22nd at 1 p.m. To rediscuss, hopefully rediscuss some of the bills that we've highlighted today, and then also go into some of your share outs. Hopefully someone wants to share what they're doing in their district. I know y'all are doing great things. So, but no one else will know if you don't say it. So thank you for joining us today. I hope that you have a great weekend, a great summer. If I do not see you again, going back, I saw Tori's question. Hopefully the PowerPoint and the video, hopefully by midweek. I can't say definitely today, because you just never know how other people are working in their processes, but we're going to get it as close as possible. So I want to say thank you. Have a great day. And I am going to stop recording. Yes. All right. Bye, everyone.